All right, we're live. I think we're live. You know how it is. I'm here with Amanda. This is Dr. Michael Lennox on Lennox Streams at YouTube. How you doing today, Amanda?
Great. How are you?
I'm good. You seem bubbly. I know you're excited to dive into this dream.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Oh, here, hang on a second. I have to hang on. How you doing today, Amanda? That was one of those weird things where my computer was giving us both this feed and that feed. So here we are. So tell me what you dreamed and what you want to dive into. I'm excited.
Sure.
I got my little pad. I'm going to take some notes and then we'll dive in.
Perfect. This dream is not something I've been carrying around for ages. This is a really recent dream. I had this like a week or so ago.
Ooh, okay.
And I found it down because I used to be a really vivid dreamer in my youth and my teenage years. And then I became a mom and I stopped dreaming. The dreams ceased. So I've been asking for dreams before I go to bed, and this is one of the ones that came through real recently.
First of all, I love this. First of all, let's just for a moment, because people are watching this, I love that you petitioned the dream. Like, I love that you're in the mind of calling forth because it works, and yay. And I love that we're going to be working with the dream that's recent because, boy, we're at a crazy moment on the planet, and dreaming is heating up. For people. So yay, this is my first COVID dream interpretation experience. So
that's perfect. So
lay it on us.
Will happen. Right. Okay, so the dream doesn't really have a plot. It doesn't follow a conflict. It's a series of scenes that are consecutive, and then it was very quick. The dream will just fade away and end. So to begin with, it starts really cinematic. There's this vast landscape that I can see. There are mountains and this huge body of water. It's like a lake. It's a gigantic lake. And the weather's good. And then all of a sudden I have this intuitive feeling this is in a foreign country. It's Asian. It's Japan. So it was almost like that intuitive past life regression, like you just felt and you knew.
Okay.
So the next scene is I'm inside of this gigantic structure. It's made of wood. When I took notes for the dream at first, I wrote down skyscraper, but as I've been planning to retell the dream, I'm thinking tower too. So
oh my God, that's exciting. Well, of course, because tower is an archetypal image from the tarot and a skyscraper is very different.
Right. So it had like super tower energy as I was reflecting back. And it was made of wood. The whole time that I'm within the structure, I feel really dizzy. And I feel like I'm really, really high up the whole time. So even though when I first enter this structure, I can't see where I am in terms of height, it feels really high up. Yeah. And it felt really unsteady. So I'm with some people, I'm with like 4 people. There are 2 boys, 2 girls. We kind of split up and I follow the boys into this room. The room is vast. It's wide open. There's no furniture. It has like Red Lobster 1990s vibes. So it's just like just windows, and some of the windows are covered, and there are benches beneath the windows. And then all of a sudden I have this overwhelming feeling that my dream self has an objective, and her objective is to take as many pictures as possible. And it's this overwhelming sensation of take as many photographs as you can. So my dream self approaches one of those benches. I kneel and I look out the window, and then all of a sudden I notice the window is half covered with water. So despite the fact that I felt really high up, this part of the structure is partially submerged, and you can see the water from the window. And I have my cell phone, and I'm taking like burst shots of the water, of course. And then I kind of look towards the corner, and I can see through another area of the structure, I can see the 2 girls that I'm with. And they're like cozy up on each other. They're laughing. It's really adorable. The one girl places her head on the shoulder of the other girl. And I'm like, oh my God, this is a perfect photo. Take the photo. So I took the photo. And then I continue to like shift my focus. And then there's this giant wooden sculpture, and it's a koi, and it's massive, like the size of a shark.
It's a wooden structure of a koi fish.
Yeah, like a totem. Like there's this weird wooden totem outside of the window, and it's smiling, which reminds me of like the Native American totems that I've seen that sometimes have teeth. And he's gigantic and he's orange. He's this big fish. He's made of wood. I get the picture. I take a picture of it. I turn around, I look back into the room. There's like this strange sense of dizziness, which I thought was a result of the lighting that was in the room that was being projected onto the floor. I go to exit the room. The exit is different from the entry, and the exit, so doors, portals, right? So the exit is scary to me. It's like rotating rectangles. They're 3D rectangles. They're rotating and they're yellow. And I know that this doorway is designed to be functional. And I know there's no reason to be scared to go through the doorway, but I'm intensely nervous to go through the door. So I rush through and I make it through. And then the next thing is there's an ascension. There's a ramp. I go to ascend the ramp. It's within the structure, so it's all dark and covered, and I'm going, but I can feel myself higher and higher, even higher than I thought I was before. And when I reach the top, there are my friends who I was with there, and we don't really talk to each other. At the top, the feature is a lookout, but the lookout is structured on a catwalk, and the catwalk is covered, and the windows are obscured again. So I'm deeply frustrated that the view that I know is supposed to be there is obscured. There's like cheap wood, like plywood covering where the windows would be. It's painted blue, and then periodically, like there's little gaps in the spacing, so you can actually
see through the gaps.
Yes, and so this is the end of the dream. So my dream self is like excited to peek through. I do like find the little hole. I do peek through. That moment must have lasted like a millisecond. And then simultaneously, I can feel my conscious mind aching, like a desire, a powerful, painful ache to see the view. Like, bitch, show me
right.
the view. And I'm so upset by this, because my dreamer self was disturbed by this sensation of a brick falling off of a ledge. And that's the end of the dream. I remember my dream self didn't take any pictures of the view because she was terrified. She had her phone, was afraid of dropping the phone. And then there was that feeling of that brick falling off the ledge, and it was the end.
This is such a juicy dream about ascension, diving into the conflict of the moment in order to rise up to a higher level of awareness, and to have your psyche, your unconscious mind say, yes, honey, thank you for getting this far. And here's where the limits are at this level where you still have to go. Like real quickly, it's like I'll backtrack and we'll get to the end of the dream again, but I just got to start here with this. I love this. I can't get out because the exit is confusing and scary. Yeah. Right. So we'll talk about what the construct represents, but it's interesting to me at the end. It's like, I want to get out of this. And you even called it 3D.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Spiritual speak for this reality, not the higher reality that we are also connected to, that we want to use our spiritual practice to remember our oneness with God. That's 5-dimensional reality. 5D. 3D is this limiting idea, and it's like a trap that we have to escape from. We have to get out of, like we have to take the red pill, right? And it's scary. And then when you do successfully get out of the old construct, you ascend. Not only do you ascend, but there's like a reunification of aspects of self. Like you come back together with aspects of self having ascended. Would that were the end of the dream, and it'd be like, oh, good job, Amanda. Yay, you've ascended. But the dream is giving you both the ascension consciousness that you've achieved at this moment, and it's telling you, and here's where the current level of limitation is: catwalk. That's an interesting word, honey, because A, it implies a kind of ricketiness and instability in crossing. So it's dangerous to cross a catwalk. So there's danger or risk, vulnerability in ascension, right? So you still have some risk. Catwalk is interesting too, in the pun of it. It has an implication. And now that I meet you and I see that you're attractive as fuck.
Oh, thank you.
So I'm just wondering if catwalk might also be something about objectification and the difference between, you know, what it's like to be inside a sense of beauty and or a sense of objectification. That might be part of your journey for ascension. The obscured view, honey, of course, that's what we're all looking for, is a higher vantage point to see further from a higher level of consciousness, and it's still obscured. I love the blue, throat chakra. So that tells me that where the work is, which is always, the work is always going to be in finding the powerful voice, finding your sovereignty in your yes and in your no. And there's cracks, which means you can see, but there's still some work to do. I'm also just loving the fact that the limitation consciousness as described by this scene is made of plywood. It's not going to be that difficult to, and it implies a kind of rickety way that we construct fears that aren't really solid. They're not really based on real stuff. They're based on, you know, flimsy limitation consciousness. You can, so I have to start there.
Oh, great. It all makes sense to me.
Let's go back to though this Asian, Japanese kind of sensibility. First of all, I love that you put in there the idea of a past life-ish connection. Now, I am a kind of guy who believes in all of the mystery, but I don't grab onto the mystery, like past lives. I don't know if we've been other people. Maybe we've been everybody. Maybe we've been some people. Maybe it's all a bunch of bullshit. But I'm of the mystery school person. I know there's a mystery, but I don't know exactly how it's shaped. But I do know that in dream state, that's when we connect to it unequivocally. I don't question the idea that in your dream, that if you felt a sense of connectedness, that one way that might show up is an affinity for through a past life kind of idea with a different culture. However, there might also be some other things about that milieu to show up. Are there any personal associations? What are your personal associations of why this dream had this sensibility about it?
Yeah, no, I just use past life to kind of convey that type of intuitiveness, that the way that it felt, the way I would imagine that to feel. In terms of like actually being Asian and having that experience, I've never traveled there. It's completely foreign to me. So for my takeaway, I thought that it would definitely be foreign, unknown, things to still be explored.
I love that. First of all, that's accurate, right? Those are accurate. Like you can't argue against a beautiful way that your own associations tell us what's important. I'm a dream interpreter that has a gift. I interpret dreams. I'm also a psychologist where I was trained in grad school. Never interpret dreams. And I'm like, yeah, sorry, I can't not do what I do. Right? So I do the interpreting and people respond. So I'm okay with that. But truly, the associations of the dreamer count for way more. They have to. It's your dream. It's not my dream. Right? So it is about exploring the unknown, being willing to explore the unknown. And there are certainly other colors to consider. Certainly grace is all over this dream, and a desire for grace in unstable places. And of course, one of the things we get in a spiritual trek when we rise up in consciousness and clear ourselves of trauma and have a more integrated view of life is more grace, more ease, more float, more koi, less shark.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all of these images, honey, are beautifully universal, very fundamental. Like just the opening scene of a vast mountain and a vast lake. That's conscious and unconscious. The land is our conscious mind and the lake is our unconscious experience. And it's, I would call it personal. Like, this is about your experience. It's not the ocean.
No.
The ocean would have been too big for that to be just about you, because it's too big, right? I love that it's a vast mountain and a vast lake, because I think this is you, your vastness of your conscious connection and awareness and embodiment, and the vastness of your emotional content and your unconscious material that is you. And we start with that. So first of all, could you say a little bit more about the transition from skyscraper to tower? Because this is important for people watching, that's dream work. Dream work is to write down skyscraper and then be in marination and let something else occur to you. And of course, where we go to is the beautiful message of, in order to have that ascension that's coming in the latter part of the dream, you do have to let all structures tumble. And you have this dream in the height of the pandemic, which is a very tower-like experience. And for those who don't know, the tower in the Tarot is a Master Arcana card that looks like a tower breaking down and blowing up.
Burning, it's on fire.
It's on fire, and it's like, and it's a beautiful affirmative symbol of great change that will require a surrender to what might be difficult circumstances as those changes are taking place. So talk a little bit more about your ruminations and how, and not only how it occurred that you changed it, but how did it feel when tower appeared in your thoughts about it?
Yeah, so I've been thinking a lot about the tarot because I practice it. And that was part of my own dream work. So when I wrote down the notes, like in that waking state of like, you're practically delirious, I wrote skyscraper. But then as I was trying to interpret the dream for myself and make some more meaning of it, I was like, holy shit, that's not a skyscraper in the middle of like a rural Japanese village. It's a tower, you moron. Like, oh my God.
And did it feel satisfying to have it turn into a symbol that is close to your heart and understanding?
It did, and it made more sense to me because the whole structure felt wooden and unstable, and I was dizzy, and it was large, and it just made the most sense to me. And I've been trying to think about how to integrate the tower, like, without the negative pejorative on top of it, because it can be such a frightening.
It is. Well, but the whole dream has that.
Well, yeah, the anxiety throughout the dream was so intense.
So to me, the skyscraper idea of seeing the, cataloging it as skyscraper would be like old thought.
Yeah.
Old vantage point, old high. It was the skyscraper of the highest vantage point that you were capable of ascending to, except that no, you've got to let that old idea burn down. Mm-hmm. All structures. That's one of the things that's happening with this pandemic experience, is that the old world is burned away. The new world will rise up as it rises up, and it's official. Everything is breaking down and transforming. So the skyscraper is an old structure that's been standing for a while and is safe and will never go away. Except that's not what's happening. It's all going away. And so it transmutes into, a tower structure that was an old tower height. Mm-hmm. Let it burn to the ground.
Yeah.
In order to have the transformation. And partly because you're so high up, but you can't see.
Yeah.
Like limitation in your ability to see. I love this idea that you follow the boys, mm-hmm. but that your salvation comes from observing the girls. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts about that? You must have some, honey. You're wildly intuitive and clearly a symbologist in your own right. So what are you?
I teach English literature, so I work in symbols too.
You work in symbols. I love that.
But yeah, so with following the boys, but finding solace in the girls, I mean, I think that for me, intuitively, that felt like I miss having friendship and connection and female relationships. So I'm a single mother, and that can feel very isolating. Um, and just kind of reminiscing, missing
Right.
female relationships, and then also succeeding and finding happiness there. That was seemed to me very surface level. It wasn't very deep.
Right. And it's a beautiful surface level, and it's accurate. It feels accurate that I start always with the universal archetype. So if it's a boy and a girl, it's about doing and being.
Mm-hmm.
And so in your language that you were talking about, then following the boys is like, here's what I have to do. I got to go to work and teach English. I got to raise my child. I got to do this. I got to do that.
Yes.
What do I miss? I miss the coziness and the love and the companionship, right? So your description is the same as mine. You're using language that's very personal to your sense of I'm doing this, but my being is what I miss. And then I'm just adding the universal like moniker. I'm not changing anything about what you just said. I'm just backing it up, validating it. That the doing is where you naturally have to go to, but the beingness is where your salvation lies. And this is just a spiritual truth, right? This is a dream about spiritual truth. This is like a spiritual primer outline.
What a gift. I love it.
Right? So it is telling you, yeah, you can go do, you got to do, follow the boys, but ultimately your salvation comes in just your stillness and your beingness and your feminine approach to, whatever has to be created. Oh, the photographs.
Yeah.
Have you done any plant medicine work?
Not really. I have some plant babies in my house, but not.
But no, like psilocybin or diving into spiritual practice with. Mm-hmm. Well, if you had said yes, I would have been using this as an example. The point that I'm trying to make is that when people do plant medicine work with psychotropic or psychedelic substances, one of the things that's challenging about it is that the medicines help us sort of leave our egoic mind and our bodies behind, and we go into spiritual realms. But then we come back into the body, and we're likely to forget everything that we experienced. Now, this is true of the bigger picture of spiritual exploration that doesn't require plant medicine to have a numinous experience of this. Oh my God, here I see the light, and then I come back to my body, I forget. We can do that all the time in a spiritual practice where we connect to these beautiful places in our meditation, and then we move into the world and we lose it. And it's like, oh, I forgot my magnet. How do we remember? We take pictures. Mm-hmm. We must capture this so that I can remember it.
Right.
So that's what I think the compelling need to take the photographs is that this is a spiritual primer. Mm-hmm. It is consider your vastness. You have a consciousness and an unconsciousness, and it's vast and beautiful. That's who you are. And in order to enjoy that more fully, you must go to the top of the tower, let old structures completely die and go away. Then you've got to find out your relationship to your doing and your being so that you know sort of who you are. Then you've got to do the thing. You've got to climb up. Then you're going to find, oh my God, this three-dimensional thought is like an illusion. None of this is true. How do I operate then out of being, knowing that I've got to be in three-dimensional world in a body, but that there's this bigger truth. I got to get out of this. That's like taking the red pill is your 3D rectangular yellow instincts, belly. I'm going to follow my instincts and I'm going to exit. And I'm going to ascend. And then I'm going to reconnect with my masculine and feminine self.
Yeah.
Right? Which earlier in the dream, you had to separate them. Mm-hmm. I can only go after the doing, and I've got to leave the being for now. But at the end of the dream, you're all together. That's integration. Huzzah! Congratulations. And there's still more work to be done because there always is. And it's in trusting that you're at the high vantage point. You're there. Mm-hmm. Trust that you can see the cracks tell you the view is available. Mm-hmm. The blue tells us the secret is in using your voice more powerfully And the flimsiness of the structure suggests that it will actually be easy to bust that out and see the beautiful vantage point that you have created thus far in your journey.
Perfect.
Feel good?
It feels so nice. Thank you.
Stuff to ruminate and marinate on?
More stuff. It's so good.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Amanda. Thank you guys for checking in and listening. And tune back here. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And we'll see you the next time.